The year is 2025. Step out onto a sun-drenched balcony in NEA Alexandria. The air carries the scent of the sea, the clean energy signature of advanced systems, and something else, the subtle, undeniable weight of history. Look out at the crystalline spires, structures that don't just touch the sky but interact with it, harvesting light and energy, built with principles of geometry and material science that feel both deeply ancient and stunningly futuristic. This world is profoundly different, not because of a single cataclysm or an inexplicable invention, but because a quiet flame of human curiosity, kindled in a specific place long ago, was tended, protected, and fanned into an ever-growing blaze across millennia, carried forward by innumerable human hands and minds. Our shared history tells a poignant tale of loss. The Library of Alexandria, that unparalleled beacon of human intellect, eventually dimmed, its light scattering into fragmented whispers or fading entirely into the silence of forgotten knowledge. The loss was immense. Entire worlds of thought, countless potential discoveries, vanished from human reach. Yet, in this flow of time, a different destiny unfolded, not through divine intervention, but through stubborn, courageous, and often anonymous human dedication that defied the currents of decay and destruction. Imagine Elara, a young scribe in the 1st century BCE, her fingers perpetually ink-stained, her shoulders aching, her eyes burning under the lamp's fickle glow. Fear was a constant companion, fear of fire, of invasion, of indifference. Yet, beneath the fear was a burning conviction. This scroll, her mentor had whispered, placing a fragile text on celestial mechanics in her hands, contains numbers that map the heavens more accurately than any before. It must survive. Elara wasn't just copying text, she was racing against time and chaos, participating in the secret, desperate, multi-generational project, selecting the most vital, most unique scrolls, a complete, cross-referenced copy of Aristarchus's heliocentric theories, a rare treatise on complex hydromechanics by Ctesibius, sophisticated medical texts outlining anatomical structures and surgical techniques previously only rumored, and transferring them to hidden, reinforced chambers deep beneath the library complex. These were ingeniously designed subterranean vaults, their air sealed, their entrances disguised with false walls and coded markers. It was a continuous effort by generations of librarians and scholars, individuals like Elara, who saw themselves as temporary custodians of eternal treasures. They developed sophisticated preservation methods, created complex cataloging systems meant to survive dispersal. The institution learned to shrink, to hide key elements, to adapt to hostile environments. It persisted, not just as scrolls and vaults, but as a living lineage of keepers, passing down not only knowledge, but the fierce, almost sacred determination to protect it, whispering its secrets through turbulent times, laying a hidden groundwork that would fundamentally alter the course of empires and thought. This continuity of knowledge rippled outwards, subtly but profoundly altering the fabric of subsequent civilizations. By the Roman era, the library, though perhaps less publicly dominant than in its golden age, remained a vital, active center, now interacting with Roman administrative and engineering needs. Consider Marcus Valerius, a Roman legionary veteran turned engineer, overseeing the construction of a crucial aqueduct supplying a growing city in Egypt in the 2nd century CE. He'd been taught standard Roman techniques, effective, but often relying on immense labor and simpler principles. He felt the weight of expectation, the need for efficiency. Then, introduced by a local prefect, perhaps advised by the library's quiet scholars, to translated Greek treatises on hydraulics and advanced stress calculation, maybe a vellum copy of a Ctesibius text preserved by keepers. He saw designs for multi-stage pumps of astonishing efficiency, methods for arch construction that distributed weight with unprecedented grace, allowing for longer spans with less material. By the gods, he might have muttered, tracing a complex diagram, this changes everything. The aqueduct he built wasn't just sturdy, it was a marvel of subtle engineering, its flow rate higher, its maintenance lower, a testament to merged traditions. Roman medicine also advanced significantly. A physician in Rome or Antioch, trained in Alexandrian methods available through military or elite channels, could perform a complex internal procedure with a precision born of studying anatomical atlases compiled centuries earlier, or prescribe a remedy based on extensive pharmacological records. saving lives where traditional Roman practice failed. Access to this superior medical understanding, however, remained a privilege, highlighting how knowledge itself, even when preserved, could exacerbate societal inequalities, creating a challenge that would resonate for 1,000 years. As the Western Roman Empire fractured, plunging much of Europe into decentralized turmoil and forgetting vast swathes of its classical past, Alexandria, firmly within the more stable Byzantine East, became an even more critical node for the survival of knowledge. The library wasn't merely a repository, it was where the flame of ancient inquiry was kept burning, sometimes just a flicker in dark times, sometimes a steady, illuminating light for the surrounding region. Imagine a Byzantine scholar in Constantinople in the 6th century, perhaps a theologian named Anastasia, wrestling with complex doctrinal disputes. She gains access to a newly translated philosophical text from the library's deeper reserves, a nuanced argument on epistemology by an ancient Greek skeptic. It challenges her assumptions, sparking internal conflict, but also providing new tools for logical reasoning. Doubt, she might ponder, can be a path to deeper faith, not its enemy. This intellectual ferment, fueled by the library's diverse collection, pushed boundaries in theology, philosophy, and administration. The city of Alexandria and others under Byzantine influence retained a level of technical sophistication, drawing on Alexandrian texts for everything from innovative architectural techniques to refined military technologies like Greek fire. Perhaps its composition refined using ancient chemical or metallurgical knowledge, helping the empire weather storms that broke lesser states, ensuring the continuation of a sophisticated, urban culture while much of the West transformed. This enduring intellectual power in the East stood ready to engage with a new, vibrant force emerging from the South. The advent of the Islamic caliphates in the 7th century presented perhaps the greatest crossroads for the enduring knowledge. Would the accumulated wisdom, largely rooted in pagan Greek thought, be seen as incompatible with the new faith or a universal treasure to be embraced? Thankfully, the intellectual curiosity of early Islamic leaders prevailed. Step into a bustling scriptorium in Baghdad in the 9th century, during the height of the Abbasid Caliphate. The air is thick with the scent of ink, parchment, and the murmur of multiple languages. Here sits Fatima al-Isfahani, a member of a family renowned for their translation skills, their lineage quietly linked to the Alexandrian keepers who migrated east. She feels the immense responsibility of her work. Beside her, a Persian scholar, just arrived from Egypt, dictates from a rare Greek manuscript, a complete, multi-volume work by Ptolemy on astronomy, detailing complex models and vast star charts, more precise and comprehensive than any known in the West. Fatima meticulously translates it into flowing, precise Arabic, her heart swelling with the beauty of the ancient mathematics, adding cross-references to Indian mathematical texts. These weren't just translations, they were acts of profound intellectual synthesis and cross-cultural fertilization. Islamic scholars didn't just preserve the texts, they debated, critiqued, and built upon the Alexandrian foundation with astonishing speed and originality. Al-Khwarizmi didn't invent algebra from nothing, he formalized and expanded upon concepts hinted at in earlier Greek and Indian texts. His groundbreaking work directly fueled by access to mathematical traditions fully preserved only here. Ibn Sina, the polymath, synthesized Greek, Roman, and Islamic medical knowledge in his monumental canon, drawing directly from the deep Alexandrian collection to describe conditions, surgical techniques, and pharmacological remedies that would not be understood in Europe for centuries, establishing a medical tradition that saved numerous lives. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, the libraries of Cordoba, and the enduring library of Alexandria weren't rivals, but vital, interconnected nodes in a vast, dynamic network of shared learning that spanned continents, creating a peak of scientific achievement that would serve as a powerful engine propelling global development for centuries to come. While the Islamic world shone with unparalleled intellectual brilliance, much of Europe remained in a state of comparative technological and philosophical dormancy during the early Middle Ages. Yet, the light from Alexandria and its successor centers found persistent ways to penetrate the barriers, creating a growing intellectual hunger. Imagine a Genoese merchant in the 12th century, his ship returning from Egypt. He doesn't just carry silks and spices, hidden in a false bottom, he carries a small, precious bundle of Arabic manuscripts acquired in Alexandria. translations of Aristotle's physics or comprehensive medical works by Ibn Sina, copied by families like Fatima's descendants, perhaps sold at immense profit or delivered to a waiting scholar. These texts, slowly translated into Latin, were electrifying for European scholars, hinting at a world of scientific and philosophical knowledge previously unimaginable. Through Sicily and, crucially, through the multicultural universities of Al-Andalus, where scholars of different faiths interacted, translating Alexandrian-derived Arabic texts into Latin, a growing, accelerating stream of knowledge flowed north and west, challenging existing paradigms and fueling the growth of European universities, setting the stage for a profound cultural and scientific transformation. The European Renaissance, then, wasn't a sudden rediscovery of scattered fragments across a vast gulf of ignorance, but a powerful wave breaking upon a shore already prepared by centuries of incoming intellectual currents from Alexandria and the Islamic world. It was a vigorous, dynamic engagement with a continuous, evolving intellectual tradition. Consider a young Leonardo da Vinci in Florence, driven by an insatiable curiosity, seeking knowledge wherever he could find it. He gains access to translated Alexandrian texts on anatomy, mechanics, and optics, knowledge far beyond his contemporaries. His anatomical drawings achieve a level of detail and understanding unprecedented in European art, directly informed by knowledge passed down since antiquity. His engineering designs, while often visionary, are grounded in a deeper theoretical understanding of forces and mechanics. Think of Copernicus in Poland, struggling with the complexity of existing astronomical models. His revolutionary heliocentric theory finds powerful support and theoretical backing in the complete works of Aristarchus, showing it wasn't a new, outlandish idea, but one with deep, rigorous roots in respected ancient thought, giving him the confidence to pursue it against prevailing views. The printing press, when it arrived, didn't just multiply the Bible and a few Latin classics, it unleashed a torrent of diverse, sophisticated texts, comprehensive guides to botany and zoology based on ancient classifications and later observations, detailed engineering manuals for complex machines, a far wider spectrum of philosophical thought, advanced astronomy, and mathematics. This widespread accessibility of advanced knowledge fundamentally altered the pace of change, fostering a society where scientific inquiry, philosophical debate, and practical innovation were possible and encouraged on a mass scale. Even art, music, and architecture were influenced, drawing on ancient geometric principles, aesthetic theories, and perhaps acoustical knowledge, leading to different forms and sensory experiences than the Renaissance we know, creating a world primed for rapid technological advancement. The scientific revolution, rather than being a sudden, isolated event, was a period of accelerated progress built on the broad, deep shoulders of a continuous lineage of inquiry stretching back to antiquity. Newton's breakthroughs in physics and calculus, while still transformative, were likely accelerated and refined by access to advanced theoretical work from earlier centuries, preventing intellectual dead ends and providing a richer foundational understanding. Imagine specific complex mathematical proofs or alternative physical theories preserved in Alexandria guiding later thought. The development of chemistry, thermodynamics, and biology proceeded faster, driven by a broader base of existing empirical data, including sophisticated ancient observations of natural phenomena and detailed, rigorous classifications of plants and animals compiled over millennia, and a cultural mindset already deeply primed for systematic, evidence-based inquiry across diverse fields. This era solidified the methodology that would drive future innovation, leading directly into the age of industry. The Industrial Revolution arrived, potentially earlier and with subtly different characteristics shaped by centuries of cumulative knowledge. Imagine machines incorporating subtle efficiencies derived from advanced ancient Alexandrian mechanics, leading to less friction or novel power transmission. New materials might have been developed earlier based on centuries of cumulative knowledge in metallurgy, ceramics, or even organic chemistry, from ancient pharmacology, leading to lighter, stronger, or more durable components used in early factories and transportation. The understanding of energy, drawing on earlier theoretical work, might have led to different approaches to power generation or transmission alongside steam power. The transition to a technological, urbanized society felt less like a violent, Disruptive break-in more like an acceleration of an already long-established trajectory of innovation and application of knowledge. However, this acceleration also amplified existing social tensions. The gap between skilled labor benefiting from new knowledge and unskilled labor displaced by machines might have grown faster, leading to unique forms of social unrest, new class structures, or political movements centered on demands for universal access to education and information, setting the stage for the complexities of the modern world. By the 19th and 20th centuries, this world, while technologically ahead, still grappled with challenges familiar to us: rapid social change, global competition, and devastating conflicts. But the tools available, of communication, transportation, medicine, and warfare, were subtly, but significantly, more advanced and often fundamentally different at comparable points in time. Diseases that ravaged populations in our history might have been understood and contained more effectively, potentially altering demographics and migration patterns. Communication and transportation technologies evolved with distinct characteristics, perhaps leveraging alternative theoretical paths explored centuries prior, leading to different global networks and patterns of interaction. The world wars, while horrifying in scale, involved technologies shaped by this altered history, perhaps more sophisticated early aviation and targeting systems, different forms of armored warfare, or an earlier, more complete understanding, and potentially international agreement on the avoidance of certain chemical or biological agents thanks to better historical data on their effects. The Cold War saw not just a nuclear standoff, but a multifaceted competition involving technologies that drew on the full, diverse human intellectual heritage, including advanced optics, material science, complex systems theory, and perhaps even early forms of advanced computing influenced by ancient logical frameworks, leading directly into the information age. Which brings us back to 2025. NEA Alexandria stands as the vibrant, pulsating nexus of the Librarium Mundi, a city rebuilt around the profound legacy of the past. The original library's unearthed foundations are a place of profound historical resonance, a UNESCO site where visitors walk the stones contemplating millennia of thought. But the librarium itself is far more: a sprawling, intelligent, interconnected network spanning the globe, the direct inheritor and expander of the Alexandrian legacy. Its physical archives, housed in secure, environmentally perfect vaults buried deep underground or built in stable geological zones, contain original texts and artifacts. You might see a climate-controlled chamber housing the actual vellum copies made by scribes like Alara and Kala, their ancient ink still visible, alongside server farms storing petabytes of modern data, holographic projections of ancient diagrams floating in the air. Access to this unparalleled reservoir of knowledge is managed by the Librarium, a powerful, independent supranational body whose authority is purely intellectual and informational, yet whose influence touches every aspect of global life. Its governing council is a fascinating, sometimes tense, body reflecting its complex history, leading scientists, humanists, representatives from sponsoring nations and global academic consortia, ethicists grappling with unprecedented dilemmas, and, crucially, members of the ancient keepers' lineages, families who have guarded, studied, and contributed to this knowledge for millennia. They bring not just academic expertise, but a deep, almost intuitive understanding of the collection and its history, a living link to the institution's deep past, ensuring continuity not just of texts, but of the culture of preservation, debate, and rigorous inquiry. One might imagine heated debates within the council chambers, where a keeper arguing for restricted access based on historical precedents clashes with a national representative demanding open data for economic advantage, while an ethicist warns of the societal consequences of uncontrolled information. Access is multi-tiered, a reflection of both the ideals of universal knowledge and the pragmatic realities of power and potential misuse. There is a vast, freely accessible digital commons, containing millions of digitized texts and public domain research, a sea of information available to anyone with a connection. Then, specialized research archives require academic credentials and project approval, granting access to deeper layers and more complex databases. Finally, deeply restricted sections hold knowledge deemed potentially dangerous or disruptive, perhaps advanced ancient biological knowledge detailing pathogens, unchecked theoretical physics that could lead to devastating weapons, or sensitive historical accounts that could fundamentally destabilize national identities or power structures. Debates within the council over what constitutes dangerous knowledge, who deserves access, and how potential risks should be mitigated are constant, fierce, and globally significant. These aren't just academic arguments, they impact global security, economic stability, and social cohesion, creating new forms of political and social conflict centered around information control. Technologically, the world of 2025 feels both advanced and harmoniously integrated, less jarringly futuristic than some predictions, more organically grown. Transportation systems glide silently and efficiently on magnetic levitation or advanced air cushion technologies, their energy efficiency rooted in advanced physics and materials science explored over centuries. Cities utilize sophisticated energy grids that draw on diverse renewable sources, solar tapestries integrated into building facades, tidal generators leveraging advanced hydrodynamics, geothermal systems managed with complex algorithms that feel almost organic in their responsiveness, a reflection of systemic thinking hinted at in ancient texts and refined over millennia. Medicine offers highly personalized, often preventative treatments based on genetic profiles cross-referenced with a vast, anonymous database of human biological response gathered over millennia, including detailed clinical records from ancient and medieval physicians whose work survived. Surgical procedures are minimally invasive, guided by advanced imaging and robotic systems built with materials of incredible precision and lightness. But perhaps the most striking difference is the pervasive sense of historical depth and interconnectedness that permeates daily life. Public spaces feature not just digital billboards, but interactive holographic displays projecting historical timelines, allowing citizens to trace the development of an idea, a technology, or a philosophical concept back through its evolution across different cultures and centuries, its roots firmly in Alexandria, fostering a unique form of global historical consciousness. Consider Aisha Al-Mansouri, a young researcher based in NEA Alexandria in 2025, a descendant of a family with ties to the Keepers, representing the culmination of these intertwined histories. Her life is steeped in this legacy. She is not just studying modern data, she is actively exploring connections across time and discipline, working on a groundbreaking project researching potential treatments for neurodegenerative diseases. Today, she's cross-referencing a cutting-edge neurological study involving neural interfaces with a digitized Islamic medical commentary from the 11th century on the treatment of nervous disorders, which in turn references a Greek text from the library's deep collection describing ancient brain surgery techniques, a lineage of inquiry spanning nearly 3,000 years. She feels a palpable, personal connection to the many scholars who came before, to Fatima, the translator in Baghdad, to Anastasia, the Byzantine scholar, to Hypatia, the philosopher-mathematician, to Alara, the scribe. They are not just historical figures, they are intellectual ancestors in a living, breathing chain of inquiry that guides her work. Aisha faces her own challenges, which feel deeply personal, navigating the complex bureaucracy and politics of the Librarium Mundi to gain access to a restricted archive that might hold the key to a rare disease's ancient treatment, a potential ethical minefield. Debating with colleagues about the implications of using a technology derived from a potentially dangerous ancient insight, or simply grappling with the sheer volume of information available, the constant awareness of how much there is still to know. Her daily life in NEA Alexandria reflects this blend. She commutes on a silent maglev, works in a lab equipped with materials unknown to our world, but spends hours sifting through digital facsimiles of fragile vellum scrolls, connecting the dots across millennia, driven by a personal need to contribute to this vast, ongoing human project. This world, for all its advancements and depth of understanding, is not a simple utopia. Inequalities persist, often exacerbated by differing levels of access to the deepest layers of knowledge and the specialized skills required to utilize them effectively. Political tensions arise not just from borders or resources, but increasingly from control over informational power, leading to cyber conflicts and debates over data sovereignty. The rise of knowledge cartels, groups or nations that try to hoard or control access to specific, valuable information, and philosophical clashes impacting governance and social norms are real, ongoing concerns. Yet, there is also a pervasive sense of continuity, a shared human project that transcends national and temporal boundaries. Philosophy is not an academic niche. It is a vibrant, publicly debated discipline, actively engaging with a much wider spectrum of historical perspectives to address modern ethical and societal dilemmas, from the rights of AI to the implications of genetic engineering. Art and literature reflect a richer, more complex understanding of the human condition, informed by histories, mythologies, and philosophical traditions that were lost in our reality. Looking out from those crystal spires, bathed in the light of a setting sun that glints off energy-generating facades, the world feels weighted with history, yet endlessly propelled by an insatiable human curiosity. The unburning city is more than a historical anomaly. It is a testament to the enduring power of human intellectual effort, the resilience of knowledge against the forces of destruction and forgetting, and the multitude of lives, often anonymous, who dedicated themselves to tending that fragile, precious flame across the ages. The true story is not just in the scrolls or the data streams, but in the continuous, vibrant, sometimes contentious, current of human intellect flowing from antiquity to the present day, a current that began and continues to find its heart in Alexandria. It is a world that reminds us that the most profound differences are often forged not in fire and conquest, but in the quiet perseverance, the personal sacrifice, and the shared pursuit of understanding by those who choose to remember, to study, and to build upon the collective wisdom of humanity.